We live.
We still live.
We
Oh my
live. We
God.
live. We
I'm
live. It's
so
the chop
live.
out.
And
We
we
in
being
here.
live. You'll be going live. Shout out to everybody tuning in the thigh.
Yeah.
Hey man,
Oh.
coronavirus mixed in with a little drama, you
Man,
know,
still
mixed in with a
quarantine
little
Monday.
still quarantine Monday.
Still quarantine Monday. What you talking about?
Mixed in with a whole bunch of, you know, the words that I've been trying to put together a video about, something about collective
Okay.
trauma, collective mourning. You know what I'm saying?
We
Yeah.
got a video.
Collective mourning, and how I feel like this just a lot of mourning, unique mourning right now has been going on in the Black community because we've been disproportionately impacted by the coronavirus. You feel me? So a lot of people is just, you know what I'm saying, already doing that. Then by us being isolated in our homes, I feel like we being hit by the suffering and pain and Black death on our social media content a little bit more. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, uh, Anthony McClain, keep on naming George Floyd, keep on, you know what I'm saying, keep on naming, you know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, you know what I'm saying, with celebrities like, you know what I'm saying, Kobe Bryant, and you feel me, Chadwick Boseman, you feel me? It's like it's a whole bunch. I feel like it's a lot of like collective mourning.
But you know what? Dr. Yancey pointed this out on on something that I shared on Facebook. He pointed out that shit like we always been doing that.
Nah, we
Like,
always been doing that. I'm saying the uniqueness in the isolation, and how the uniqueness of us being disproportionately impacted by the coronavirus.
Okay.
Like to
It's
me, because of there's a
yeah.
unique way that there has been Black death with the coronavirus, because we
Yeah.
already disproportionately not getting resources in the, you feel me, medical field. I
Yeah.
think it's been like active. I feel like it's been like what's what I want to use, like exacerbated, or it's been like heightened. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? By, you feel amplified, you know what I'm saying, by the coronavirus, that I think makes it kind of unique.
Hey, and as George Babylon about his you know, this
I
is
want to
how
make
he
a
comes
video
up
about
with.
this, but I gotta put the thoughts together. See, and this
Yeah,
is the reason why I
nah.
made the video.
That's
Now,
what
I
I'm
feel like
saying.
it's
This is
like,
niggas is getting the inside view of you know what I'm saying, what go on before he before he clicked that record button. You know what I'm saying?
What's
Like
up, brothers being in the building? What's cracking, brother?
what's cracking. Y'all, man, y'all say what's up as y'all come in here. You feel
Hit
me?
that
Y'all make
like
sure y'all hit
button.
that like button, hit that share button.
I got excited.
Yeah, I know how you do.
I got excited. I apologize.
Yeah. Hey, but this is the chop up, man. This is the chop up. We're gonna give it a little bit more time, give a few more y'all some time to get on in here. We got some interesting conversation today. Of course, George makes waves on the Instagrams. George makes waves on the Instagrams. We got to talk about that.
Hey, listen, man. Who knew that just posting a simple picture, you and your spouse, just the simple picture, literally, the picture was the emoji with this finger that said 12/27/08. That's all it said.
Yeah.
Man, 500 comments later, it's a conversation about colorism, goddamn, and
but we're gonna get into it.
And blackness.
We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get
Elena,
into it.
Coraline, Noel, what's good? What's going on with you? Go ahead and share it, love it, like it. We happy y'all in here tonight for sure, for sure.
Yes, yeah.
Noel, you had posted a comment that said the email on our Facebook page don't match the business at the chop up show.com. So Damo, we got to make sure we change that so that everything is streamlined. I meant to point that out last time, but
no, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me know, because we actually just got the website up and running now. We got the domain. Now we need a website. So actually, everybody out there, if y'all have recommendations on, you know what I mean, who could help us with that, developing us a website, getting all that cracking, y'all let us know. Y'all send us messages, send us an email at business@thechopupshow.com so we can get that webpage cracking. Now, who want to bring it in?
Cracking.
George, so you
huh?
Want to bring it in?
George, he got.
Yeah, I'll bring it in.
Go ahead.
Bring it in. I'll bring it in. So make sure I got it. I'll make sure I'm alive. So what's going on, Chop Up Nation? It's your boy George Lee, aka Consciously. Don't forget the Lee, and we back for another Quarantine Monday. And y'all know who I'm with.
It's your girl Toya G. It's Monday. It's the beginning of a new semester, a new year. all of those things. So my clock is reset in a bunch of different ways, but no matter what, it's still Quarantine Monday. So it's good to be here with y'all. It was good.
Yes, yes. And I am the political plug. And it's Quarantine Monday because y'all ass still shouldn't be out and about like that anyway, unless you got a mask on. It is what it is. Call me a government agent. Y'all know how it goes. It's the chop up, man. We here.
Mask on. Hey, and you know we're gonna jump straight into it, man. This is the Snap Chop.
Yeah.
And so yesterday I posted a picture of me and my wife. And for y'all that don't know, for y'all that haven't seen the post, so you maybe have not seen my wife, or don't know how I look. I'm a dark-skinned African American male with dreadlocks, 6'1". I'm from the hood. I got a little education. I know how to talk a little bit, and I'm married to a light, bright, damn near white, you feel me, biracial black woman. It caused a social media frenzy. I ain't gonna say social media. It caused a comment section frenzy. That's what I'll call it, because it didn't go viral. It wasn't like crazy. It was like in my comment section, it's just like people was like blacklashed me.
Yeah. I was in there, and I was in there.
Blacklash.
So I'm actually curious. What was y'all first kind of like reactions to seeing it go down? Because y'all know Faith and y'all know me. So yeah. I'm curious.
I mean, I saw the picture first when Faith posted, and I was like, oh, this is a beautiful picture. This is great. The fam is up here. Everybody looking good, beautiful couple, greatness, right? Then when you posted it, I was like, oh my gosh, right? Like, is you really opening up the floodgates to the criticism that is innate to social media. But even so, you and the things that you talk about, your content or whatever, I just knew it was going to be a portal for a whole bunch of people to have a lot of very immature conversations about what love, what mature relationships, what marriage looks like, and what it looks like between two black people who just don't necessarily, everybody don't look black, but people struggle. And I knew they were going to.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't really think nothing of it because I don't really put too much thought in the social media shit. It was more so when I saw the backlash, I was like, oh, George, you wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Kevin Hart voice.
I mean, to be fair, to be honest with you, I knew that it would be a conversation to be had, or something that was gonna cause a bit of a stir. You feel me? Because I know a lot of people be caught off guard in real life sometimes when they see, you know what I'm saying, who I'm married to. You feel me? Especially because they just look off perception like, a Filipino or Hawaiian or Native American. Like, what is she? Is she Mexican? Is she white? What is she? So I know the racial ambiguity keep people off guard off top. You know what I'm saying?
What was the criticism though, bro? What was it like? What was the criticism? Like what was the controversy?
The controversy was, as a matter of fact, I'm just gonna ask the question. Toya, from your perspective, what was?
I think it was twofold. The major controversy was twofold. One was we can't believe he married to a white girl, or a whole lot of we should have known, right? So a whole lot of jumping to conclusions. I know she ain't. Man, see, I knew it. They always do this. They always get these white girls. A lot of that. Or it was a lot of, because once the comments got juicier, I mean, well, I guess I won't say juicier, but they kind of developed.
Rolling out more. Once they started rolling out more.
Once they started getting more aggressive than the motherfucker.
Well, no, when George mentioned in the comments or in a video or something like that, he mentioned in the comments that her mama is darker than he is. Yeah. Then it turned into a conversation about biraciality, right? And it talked in a conversation about complexion. And sub point of that conversation was whether or not light-skinned people can be targets of colorism and kind of what that looks like and how colorism plays out for lighter or fair skinned folks. And so that was kind of the two biggest discussions I was playing out in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and then one of the interesting things that I saw was that I thought was wild is this idea that we should have known. Where is that thinking? It's just like niggas
this how I take that. It's a trend of dark-skinned black men being with lighter hued or non-dark skinned black women, and pretty much making it where in a world that tells dark black skinned women they are not attractive, they're not beautiful, they're not appealing, they're not, you know what I'm saying, deemed desirable, that it fits the trend that when black men are successful in any way, shape, form, or fashion, somehow they always end up with a light-skinned woman or a woman that's not dark-skinned. So to me, You feel me? That's what I recognize, just doing this work, reading what I know, and I feel like keeping my ear to the streets, and I feel like really trying to recognize and understand a criticism and understand, I feel like, trends. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I understand. So with that being said, I'm gonna jump into it. The reason why I'm calling this Snapchat colorism and racial illiteracy is because racial illiteracy is literally, I figured out that people don't have the ability to read and or write situations dealing with race and racism. So I make sure I say this again clear. Me nor my wife are not victims of colorism. You feel me? Or I should say I'm not a victim of colorism because I'm married to the woman I'm married to, and people are questioning her darkness and questioning her blackness and negotiating it. That's not the victim. Like, that's not what colorism is about. Colorism is about dark-skinned people.
And I think that needs to be highlighted though. And that needs to be highlighted, right?
Oh yeah, it needs to be highlighted. I want to make sure that is what is being centered in the conversation. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to, you feel me, thinking about colorism.
Because and I mean specifically the power dynamics, like how it is colorism, right? Like how, like even with racism, shit work one way. You know what I'm saying? Like just because, you know, people of like it's some uncomfortability with having these conversations because shit got to be explained and justified. That don't mean that that niggas are suffering from oppression.
Let me ask this.
I would say that.
How are y'all in your own words defining colorism? I think that was an important component of the conversation that really had people in the uproar about what direction the pendulum swings in when it comes to matters of colorism and how we talk about it. So what is, do you think, a healthy, meaningful definition of colorism that we need to be keeping in mind when we have these conversations?
I think that colorism is a hierarchy about power, light over dark. At the end of the day, we can talk about the residual impact that light-skinned people kind of go through in terms of the rigid color lines and people being able to negotiate and tell them they're not black, and white people tell them they're not white, and they pushed in the middle. We can talk about that impact and that experience and how it's dark-skinned people have never had that experience, but it still doesn't negate that at the end of the day, colorism is about preference and how lighter-skinned people are preferred over dark-skinned people, and we have all the data to recognize that. We have a long history of that. You feel me? And I think that the plantation politics is one of my takeaways from this shit. In 2020, it showed me that slavery is so conditioned in us, ingrained in us, that our conditioning is conditioned, and that we still kind of don't recognize each other outside of the plantation patriarchy politics. You feel me? About, you know what I'm saying, colorism.
I have a potentially
light skin, dark skin, niggas in the field, niggas in the house, all that.
I have a potentially unpopular opinion that kind of doesn't necessarily disagree with your definition, but I think it does peel back layers about the capacity of intracommunal violence in the context of these conversations and how we need to have honest conversations about what's happening and not just the same stale kind of monolithic conversations. Because somebody brought up something in those 500 comments that was very interesting, is that the paradigm shift is kind of happening where now light-skinned women have to feel bad because they're light-skinned. And so you push out light-skinned women because it's not necessarily that, I'm more oppressed than you are. I do get picked on there becomes this residual for anybody in a black body, a regret and a remorse over the skin that they've been put in. So I say that to say your definition, I think, in my definition, rather, I will broaden it to say, I think colorism is the effect of the spectrum of blackness being forced into a binaristic existence of light versus dark. I think the pendulum starts to swing all types of different directions, and there is a dominant way that happens. I just think if we're having honest conversations about how to not replicate that type of violence, we have to be honest about the other levels and layers, even if they're not the prominent way that this violence plays out. I get that, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm not a light-skinned woman. I'm not necessarily the darkest woman out there. I'm very muchly depend on the season, richly brown, kind of red brown, skinned person. Right, not just literally like the clay, kind of reddish, clayish brown complected person. So a lot of like red bone, red skin, none of that bullshit, right? But very much that's just like the undertone of my skin. And so, as I navigate and think about it, I'm just like, for a long time, y'all, I suffered from internalized colorism because I'm the darkest of my siblings. And I'm darker than my mama.
I know that exactly.
I grew up thinking I was dark skinned, and I did not realize that people did not view me as a dark skinned person. And they weren't projecting that on me. And that some people were like, girl, you light, and they were projecting that on me until I was in college. I thought I was dark as shit.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like that's you literally talking about that's a mirror scenario because like y'all seen my siblings, George. Y'all see what my people look like. You feel me? Like they light brights. You know what I'm saying? They light brights. And so like I was called like growing up when like we were Jones on each other's family. My sister would call me a spook. You feel me? Like no bullshit. Like I didn't even know what that shit meant. I didn't even know it was racist at the time. I just thought that was like dark. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it was never something that to where I internalized inferiority because of it, to be honest though, oddly enough. But I do think it when I got into the world and realized I wasn't really considered dark like that, that's when it was like, oh, that's why I ain't internalized it, because I ain't really get treated, you know what I'm saying? Like family called me that, but I ain't get treated like that in society. So that I thought that was interesting. But one thing that came out as we get through the Snapchat, one thing that came out in that entire conversation in terms of the comment section was this idea that black men with platforms like that speak about black
I can ask my question. I can just go and ask the question, man. Based on the just because I got a few people said I was being ingenuous and unsincere, and I was gaslighting in my video of me trying to address it. Based off the heart of the criticism in the comment section, asking to y'all and everybody in the comment section, do black men with pro-black platforms and pro-black teachings lose credibility if they not with a dark-skinned black woman? I repeat, do black men with pro-black platforms and pro-black teachings lose credibility if they are not with a dark-skinned black woman? That seemed to me to be the heart of the criticism, and I'm actually asking this question.
I mean, a really good example I think of that a lot of people call into question in our academic circles is Frank Wilderson, right? One of the scholars that really speaks a whole lot to anti-blackness and what it looks like and how it's shaped. And when it's all said and done, he has stark criticisms of white people, of how black people, black bodies, black flesh exist in proximity to them, the level of humanity that white people give black people. And when it's all said and done, he go home, he closed them lectures, he get his check, and he goes and builds a home and builds a family with a white woman. And so a lot of people are skeptical about the genuine nature of that scholarship and what it is. And so, I mean, Marquise already spoke, you know what I'm saying, one of the Wildersonian scholars of our time. Marquise is already
actually going on. And shout out to Kara in the from YouTube.
And YouTube, yeah. And we're gonna get to the comments before we get out of the Snapchat. Definitely. But yeah, I think Toy, you want to go ahead and finish that up?
No, I was just saying Marquise says absolutely not, but I was just framing it to give a deeper example. Jada says no, because then it doesn't end there. If she dark skinned but doesn't have natural hair, then it's still a problem. Niggas just love to talk. And that was what somebody said in the comments, was if it wasn't gonna be this, it was gonna be that. If she was gonna be too tall or too short or too fat or too skinny, or she looked
it's regressive. It's regressive. What happens is, okay, she's dark skinned, but does she wear natural hair? Oh, she wears natural hair, but does she eat organic? You know what I'm saying? Like it's always that level of authenticity testing, because we had the conversation on the show. Y'all go check out the episode. Matter of fact, go check out the IGTV where we posed the question specifically. What does it mean to be black? Mm-hmm. What is blackness? Right? And when you start getting to these questions, like even specifically with Kamala, these questions of authenticity testing, this is where we get into these conversations of this is where the shit ain't productive. This is where it's instances of where we playing out instances of colonialism with colorism, you know what I'm saying, amongst ourselves.
That's why I say conditioning, like plantation politics playing out.
No, I mean, and that's it. It's a little bit more complicated than that to me, because like even outside of the plantation, as niggas that's able to live how we live, right? We have the ability to kind of assess these things, and being niggas that's like saying we pro-black. We talk about black shit. They're still saying that, like, okay, that light-skinned black woman. You feel me? You have a point in attempting to question that color, that dynamic, that light-dark dynamic. But then when you start questioning people's blackness because of it, that's where it becomes a real muddled gray area, because that's where the confusion lies. And that's where I feel like a lot of the pushback George got was because you are right to criticize the light-dark dynamic, but to question someone's blackness because of their complexion, that's when niggas start getting out of line.
I I mean, and I'll only ever reinforce then if that's true, my broader definition and what I think is a healthier conversation about colorism, which is the fact that any act, especially communally between Black people, that makes another Black person remorseful of the Black skin that they're in is an example of colorism. Right? It is a projection of colorism. And so let's have conversations, but let's have honest conversations. I'm not taking up for nobody, but if you think people wake up wanting to be malicious toward dark-skinned people because it's just that easy, no, that's some resentful shit because they've been put in a position to have to reflect on where they really actually fit. Don't forget the legitimacy of your Blackness back in slavery time was really about you being darker and being out in the field, and the closer you were into the house, the more likely you was being violated than somebody that was compromising your positionality within Blackness and your proximity to it. So the history is thick there, and we got to be able to talk about all of those things.
Let's get to these comments real quick. Keith said it's identity politics going wild without a doubt. Takira said, but to be honest, George should never had to defend his wife, period. I had saw her beforehand and I knew she was light, so I didn't care. I mean, that's to be honest, that's how most rational people think. It's not really, you know what I'm saying, some people think about. Elena Daniel said, I had a very similar experience growing up in Oklahoma in predominantly white schools. I genuinely felt like I was dark-skinned until I moved to Alabama. It's because it's feeling me. That contrast.
Spectrum of proximity, really, like depending on where you at. You know what I'm saying? Depending on where you at, you feel me? You know, you might to some people, I'm light-skinned. And when I went some places, it was like, are you kidding me? I was like, you bugging. You know what I'm saying? I see that it's really a proximity.
Yeah, so I mean, you wanna go ahead and finish off this snapshot? Anything else you want to add?
Finishing the snapshot off. What I want to be clear in is the main takeaway I got from this conversation of colorism is one of the most disingenuous things, one of the fakest things I think that I feel like in this conversation is when people try to regress the conversation of colorism to attacking dark-skinned women for being bitter, for being angry, for being this, for being that. And to me, I think that that's not keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? As Jada Stennett just said in this comment section, you feel me? Like light-skinned people, this is what she say. As a light-skinned Black, I accept all light-skinned slander. And if the worst thing I experience is someone trying to authenticity test me, I'm good. What I'm saying is,
if that's the least, I mean,
dark-skinned person, I recognize I never go through having somebody question my Blackness. I never had somebody asking who my mom is, who my dad is, try to figure out if I'm Black. You feel me? I never know what that is like. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. You feel me? But that does not negate the power hierarchy of colorism. And I think that when we gaslight Black women for being angry, for being bitter, for being jealous, and that's all we have for the criticism of colorism, especially when we deal with their criticisms, I think it's not being real. You feel me? With that being said, Black women, dark-skinned Black women especially, I just say this. As a debater, I don't know how to resolve that criticism. You feel me? Like as a debater, I'm trained to deal with criticism and issues as a way to try to resolve it. You feel me? When me and my wife got together, we were 17. You know what I'm saying? When I was 17, west side of Bryan, Texas, I wasn't a freedom fighter, nothing like that. This is who I love.
Bro.
I want to say that.
I know that. But see, this is the thing about that. Your relationship ain't got nothing to do with solving motherfucking colorism.
This is,
you know what I'm saying? So like even that.
This is why I was gonna end the conversation at. Because I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. And because I agree with that wholeheartedly, the best thing I can say is judging by my work. In my opinion, I intentionally and purposely try to structure my platform about talking about issues that dark-skinned and Black women, especially Black women of all complexions, experience. I recognize that every analysis I give, everybody ain't gonna agree with. That's fine. That's cool. You feel me? However, try to make sure you recognize you're talking about people. You feel me? And if you seen me and my wife and you talking some of the shit you talking, think about, you feel me? We from the hood too. We from the hood too. You feel me? So when you talking all that shit, you know what I'm saying? Just recognize that it's gonna be, you know what I mean? Like into. I'm not trying to threaten you this, that, and the other. But y'all know some of the comments that was made, which is the only reason why I commented on it, because it's like in some of the ways y'all tried to come, it wasn't cool. But I still gonna end this on. It is not cool to play dark-skinned Black women as being jealous, bitter, and angry in a conversation about colorism. That cannot be the conclusion. That's the snapshot.
Yeah. So
That way.
on that note, hey, and I know Faith. So when he say like we from the hood too, like please don't let her light skin fool you. Please don't please don't let her light skin fool you.
With you saying that, I'm not supposed to be keeping on going, but I made a tweet and I said one word about colorless resentment, and people went the hammers on me. And it was like, listen, from the hood, niggas try light skinned dudes because we thought we literally
All the time.
like, literally we can ask light skinned men. It's a colorism phenomenon all the way around. I think that we're gonna give an analysis. You got to give a full analysis.
A full analysis.
Why it's also not being real. If we say, to me, I don't think it's real to say that there is that light skinned people don't experience colorism. Like I do recognize this light skin of a dark skin. I do recognize that they get more pay more, they get more opportunities, they get more resources, they get more access. That doesn't still negate that the shit still, you feel me, happens.
This and this is yeah.
But y'all know me, I'm a Huey P. man. It's all about power. That's why I'm centering around light skin of a dark skin.
Big facts.
Next topic, man.
All right. I'm gonna jump in here real quick with the culture chop. And the culture we are talking about tonight is hip hop culture. Now, I want to go ahead and expose the elephant in the room. Don't look now. But Black women run hip hop, right? I think if we just being honest about who runs and controls the conversations, who's been able to sustain the attention, who's been having the quickest trajectories to popularity, and who's just really kind of got a stronghold on the game, I think we're seeing now more than ever before a healthy rotation of Black women in hip hop. So I kind of want to use this conversation as a preface to a later conversation we're gonna have down the road, and I'm gonna get to that at the end. But for right now, tell me real quick, y'all, and in the comments, of course, who is y'all's favorite kind of artist of the past, Black woman hip hop artist of the past that just really is a favorite to you? Who's on your list? Who's y'all faves?
Lauryn Hill.
Eve.
Okay, Damo says Eve. Elaborate why. You're a debater. Give a warrant to your claim.
I fuck with Eve. She was I feel like her Love Is Blind song was for me, that kind of stood out because as a kid, like you know about domestic violence, but you really don't. For me, like I was blessed to not really have to grow up in that type of household. And like that song was like she started that motherfucker. I don't even know you, but I hate you. Yeah,
all I know is that my girlfriend used to date
you. Yeah. And so like I was like, I think that was probably like the first conscious song that like really touched the nigga. Like damn, that's hard to listen to. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So I feel like and then I just felt like when she was doing her thing, like she was just fucking dope. Like she was, you know what I'm saying? Like the paw prints and being with the Rough Riders and having a short blonde hair, and she could rap. So it was like, that shit was dope.
Lee, who you got?
Man, I said Lauryn Hill, but I guess I feel like Lauryn Hill ain't just a straight rap. I think her rap shit used to be stupid dope. But I feel like me being where I'm from, if we saying like women rappers, I'm gonna go with the baddest, Trina. You know what I'm saying? I think that a lot of the waves that we have right now, I feel like Trina kind of, crawled a little bit. So a lot of these, you know what I'm saying, people can sprint like they is now. You feel me? Of course, shout out to like the Lil Kims of the world too, but Trina to me, I feel like really paved the way for like a lot of the. I don't know now. Nigga he said fuck 5 or 6 best friends. Yeah. she was talking. She was what? It's like I don't know. She was really
talking that shit.
You feel me? She was talking about like making niggas eat out on a period. She was talking about that and like, oh yeah, definitely. Me being on TikTok, fam. Now into definitely now, but also back then, my people like my sisters and my Black women I was around, they listened to Trina. You feel me? And Trina, you turn some Trina on, they turn into talking about gangster.
I mean, I was a little Christian girl going through high school, but look back at it, was my Trina. That was
look back at it.
Look back at it. Look back at it for what? Like she just went off. It was a whole.
Trina is why.
But he definitely. That's what Takara. You're right. He's saying Trina because he's from the South. You know.
I said that because why I'm at.
Yeah.
We got some Lauryn Hill. We got Missy and Trina. We got Aaliyah, which is more of an R&B artist to me. I don't remember too many flows she was dropping, but Cool. And then Remy Ma, right? Definitely a different kind of spin on the approach. And I think Rhapsody was up in there too. But
See,
Rhapsody,
my thing with Remy Ma though, when she first came out, it was too much faux Little Kim. It wasn't that, like even how she is now. You know what I'm saying? Like her person, like it's really like night and day from like when she got out of jail and when like she first like dropped. Like it was too much of she trying to be like Lil Kim. You know what I'm saying? That it just for me it's just like I could never embrace it like that.
Takira say, period. I'm from up north. Everything. Like,
Diamond said the same
okay,
thing.
north. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, my two picks real quick. I gotta go with your girl, of course, Missy Elliott. Got to. I think in terms of rapping, when I figured out I like words and like talking in terms of like a rapping black girl, I told you I thought I was like. I mean, we might be around the same skin complexion. I ain't never met her before, but that's somebody I wish she was bigger body, dope as hell, creative as shit. Like I was just like that makes sense. And then secondarily, of course, it's Queen Latifah, right? You know what I'm saying? And I think she was dope because she was not.
Okay, you gotta think to get the queen.
I mean, period. You know what I'm saying? But you know, she was doing damn Living Single. She was popping up on Fresh Prince. She was just so dope to me. She was fly as hell, hair never out of place. Never a hair out of place. Like Dana Owens.
Khadijah James.
My God. You know what I'm saying? So I love
it. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. We all know if it hasn't been said once, it's been said a million times. Toya definitely got that Khadijah James energy.
Let's go.
That's literally that's Toya. That's her Monica on Twitter.
Yeah.
But years. Every time I think about it, I'm like, nah, let's stay true. Let's keep it real. But
we also got Foxy Brown. This nigga Keith said, "Little Mama, I have no idea what you talking about, bro." Like, all due respect to Little Mama.
Little Mama, what you know about me, man?
Like the honorary.
Hey, MC Light got that Georgie Porgy song, and I say the first time I heard that, and I was an adult, it kind of blew my mind. Like, yeah.
All right, so we talked about the old folks. Go ahead and drop y'all one or two, no more than one or two, but favorite artists of right now, women hip hop artists of right now. Who y'all got?
I'm gonna have to say Meg Thee Stallion.
Meg is killing it for you.
Yeah. I fuck with Meg too. I don't know, cause she like I fuck with Texas. You know what I'm saying? And she like that's like her, just everything about her just kind of exude that shit. You feel me? Like she just like and she fuck with anime. You know what I'm saying? Like she fuck with anime. You know what I mean? And she be spitting. She fine. You know what I mean? Like she just that's just like the total package for me. Like I mean, but also for real, I also say that without a doubt, Nicki Minaj though. I mean, probably the best female rapper to ever to bars. Period.
Okay.
Nicki bars is probably, you know what I'm saying, better than most.
Gotta be honest about it.
Yeah.
Lee.
You know what I'm saying?
What was the question again?
Today.
We're really kind of talking mainstream. So,
Today.
you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, mainstream for women hip hop artists is getting bigger and bigger. So, you know what I'm saying? Say who comes to mind, but your favorite current women hip hop artists.
From Texas, man. Shout out to Meg Thee Stallion, man. What I'm talking about? Come on, now. Meg Thee Stallion is running the game right now. Meg is running the game right now. And it's to me, I think that Nicki Minaj is able to pave a lot of, you know what I'm saying, ways for the women that's doing that thing right now. But I think that a lot of the women right now, in terms of accolades, just so far past Nicki Minaj. Just when you look at the number ones and Grammys.
You mean she passed, like she, or are you saying they passed her?
They passed her.
Word. I don't pay attention to numbers. So
definitely.
You saying like
that's been one of the beefs. That's been one of the beefs that she been having with them or whatever, like about the numbers. Like literally, Cardi B's first album was a number one album, and Nicki Minaj never had one. That's the reason why the beef between Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott was so big with how they was getting them sales, because she felt like they slide her out of number one position. So even when the controversy with Doja Cat came out with her talking about niggas and this, that, and the other, Nicki Minaj didn't want that to happen. She was getting help with that say so on there. So it's literally like Cardi B got more number one hits, and you know what I'm saying, and like you feel me, like shit, or Meg Thee Stallion got like shit more awards now, or Cardi B already got more Grammys than Nicki Minaj, and Nicki Minaj been out way further than her. You feel me?
I didn't know that. I don't really pay attention to that type of shit. That's interesting. But all I know is that if you go back, I want to say maybe 2010 2010, 2009. Nicki Minaj went in on this Biggie beat. Killed it.
Oh yeah, Nicki Minaj. To me, Nicki Minaj showed me when she went on that Soulja Boy. She got a dunk with that piggy bank.
Yeah,
I be on the ring with the wine. Yeah, she
but
was.
it make you go stupid. I say I'm gonna drop my 3, and then we're gonna jump into a little bit more thicker questions. So my 3, real quick, I gotta go with Meg just because she can actually rap, and I think that's important. Like, girl, just be freestyling, just go off, just trip on the beat, and that's really she been made through that. I say Nicki for the same reason, but also I like her because she dared to be different, and I like her. And I hate the way that a lot of her weird, fringy, and looking back at it, like that Barbie shit went never for me, but I could never hate on it because I
could never hate on it either.
Whatever. Yeah. And so a lot of people was like, you got them out there, whatever. But she was on some like Lady Gaga. She was like on some black rap Lady Gaga shit. And I was just like, that's cool and that's different. Like Starships, people hated that song, but it took off internationally or whatever. That's how she got her cool.
It was pop shit. It was pop shit.
But it's shit that I think she wanted to make. Think about it. Her image is not pop. So she got a chance to decide to make that type of music. And it took off because people liked it. And so I think that she's more of an artist when we look back than what a lot of people give her credit for. Yeah, the fashion and the wigs or whatever, you might criticize it, but it was artistry that she really took over and did her thing. My 3rd is Young M.A. And the reason why I'm choosing Young M.A. is that Young M.A. is dope. And I love her kind of swag and her demeanor. She's my little toxic friend that I want to help. Like, she my friend. She my little stud friend that I'm like, that's my nigga. And we work on her, but she dope though. Like, she got to go hard. Like, if you listen to her music, she just is nice. The flow is cool. She's not the best rapper, best lyricist, but I like how I like the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, period. I just like her stilo, and I like the fact that she's a black masculine woman in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, unapologetically, and is. A lot of people are critical of her because she's not the revolutionary that's pushing back against the misogynistic, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Is that her burden? Is that what we want from these people, or do they just have the right to kind of make their lane and make their space and sell music that people like and want to listen to? But that's kind of my take. In the comments, we heard a bunch of different people.
Let's start up here. We'll start with
Tokyo.
Diamond said Meg. Keith said Young M.A. Diamond said Tokyo Jets. I've never heard of her.
Tokyo Jets.
Tokyo Jets. That's like PR artist, huh?
London B was on that hip hop show that's on Netflix or whatever with T.I. now to become a star or whatever. My brother, shout out to Ty the Tattoo Guy, straight out of Kansas City, but also is doing work out here in LA and is in the shop down in Atlanta. She got a big, if y'all go to her IG, she got a big flower in her armpit that he tattooed on her or whatever, hooked it up. My boy just out here really making moves on the celeb. Rico Nasty out here, definitely an energy starter. I know a lot of debate folk like her because get you in the mood, get you hype. Rihanna need a rap album. She outshined Kendrick on Loyalty. All right, Isaiah. I kind of don't disagree. I mean, she was talking to shit. Like, it was a thing.
Yeah. She be getting it in. Rihanna got bars a little bit. What do y'all think about what's the new chick? Saweetie?
I like Saweetie.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah, she got a song on Madden.
You know what I'm saying? A little better, but you feel me?
She got a song on Madden. And you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's because I play Madden, you know what I'm saying? I go through my stretches and it just kind of play over and over. So I fuck with it. Or it's just actually kind of catchy. She's spitting a little bit on some, you know, women empowerment, spending their own money type shit and spending another nigga money type shit.
I gotta shout out my little sis Flo Millie. Popped up, you know what I'm saying? She been doing her thing. If y'all sleep on Flo Millie, don't sleep on Flo Millie Beats. She out here. Flo Millie Beef is a track that y'all should get introduced to Flo Millie through. I can't get with Mulatto because her name is Mulatto, but I'm a pray. I have heard a song from her. I can't remember what it is, but I just cannot. I cannot with my heart embrace.
Hey, what is Doja Cat considered?
Doja is
a rapper.
She's been outcast. She's a rapper, but you know, she said in a group full of like white boys and was like, "Call me N-word, do this, I'm your slave."
She did a whole bunch of crazy shit.
Yeah. I remember that shit.
To me, I feel like, man, this is what I recognize from that colorism shit. A lot of people need hugs and therapy, and I feel like a lot of people just got identity issues, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
And to
crisis.
me, Doja Cat, to me, you know what I'm saying, with all due respect, I feel like she got identity issues. She got like some deep black resentment she got going on. You feel
And
me?
it sucks because I love the art. Like I do like Doja Cat. It's somebody else I'm forgetting. It don't. We could talk. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that we can sit here and go on and on about who we like. I wanna transition to a different question though, because and this is kind of hinging on kind of black women and what we need them to do in this moment with hip hop. You know what I'm saying? They taking over there at the forefront. Are we looking for black women to change hip hop? Which is kind of, you know, what it feels like as women, you know, black women come to save the day, whatever the genre needs some help. There are some issues in it. There's some repetitiveness. There's a lack of creativity. Women are doing some different things. Shout out to Tierra Whack. Or
that's a person's name. Am I learning something?
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, her name is Tierra Whack.
She got bars.
I'm gonna have to check her out.
She got bars.
So her name is ironic. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Do we?
Hey, you know what, bro? I've never thought about that. I've never thought about it. Many times I've seen her name. I've never thought about Tierra Whack. Like
that's the Tierra Whack. Yeah.
Do we
hey, shout out to the over 30 holistic expert Tisha Marie. I learned some things about myself when she did my natal chart, and I pay attention to things like that, brother. Absolutely. I look at the underlining shit. But I learned something. Tierra Whack though. Go ahead.
Do you think it is more important that black women change hip hop, or do you think it's more important that they slide in there and take up space in hip hop? Like, there's a lot of criticisms. There's been a lot of desires for more black women to be in there because it's male dominated, and that comes with some issues.
Yeah.
So should black women have the agenda of trying to change and really paradigm shift hip hop, or are we good with black women just really coming in and taking up space? And I say that in the world of your young M.A.s and your Cardis and your Megans, who is either selling their bodies or not selling their bodies, but you know,
because I had spoken your card in prostitutes
through their sexuality, or are being misogynistic, right? Do we just want to make more space for more of them, or is it more important that these women be trying to come in and change the genre?
I think it's more about just taking the space.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because pretty much whoever dominates the space is who dominates the genre. You know what I mean? The face of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if Young M.A just worry about being Young M.A and putting out good fucking music and making more space for more Young M.As, you feel me? That's all she got to worry about. It's not about like we need to change, like we need to kind of change the way, you know, people in hip hop, because it's like as the culture go, that's gonna happen. Like ultimately, as people start to see, you know what I mean, I like this shit is taking shape. People start to ride the bandwagon.
Is that true where we make that criticism elsewhere, right? We see the criticisms we have of black people, of Asian minorities, of brown folks who end up in junior partner positionships to white people, and we like, if y'all just go in there and flood, and this is our criticism of voting for some black people, or just saying vote for everybody black, is that it's not that easy, and we hope they're gonna get in there. And
I think that in music, I feel like in music, especially rap music, it's a little bit different. So to answer the question, I think that black women taking up space in hip hop will automatically kind of change the trajectory of hip hop to me, because they taking up the space and they get to kind of control the narrative. And the example that I would use to kind of warrant that claim is that right now the status quo of being dominated by men, the narrative about women and sexuality is women are to be fucked and they're not to talk about doing the fucking. And what we see about the controversy in terms of WAP is that it broke the status quo. The status quo is women supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, getting fucked. They ain't supposed to talk about doing the fucking, you feel me? And just to get a little bit more vulgar and explicit, I apologize. But usually in terms of rap music, in terms of hip hop, we usually hear about the narrative of the pussy always being fucked and beat on and this, that, and the other. We don't never hear about the wet ass pussy being this, that, and the other. So to me, the literal presence of women in rap, to me, changed the narrative and kind of changed, you feel me, how it happens a little bit. I think that the more women that's in hip hop, the more that narrative kind of starts to change a little bit from my perspective.
And the reason why I think it's different than like the analogies of kind of like Asians or even like the question of voting is that we're talking about more like intra-racial, like that. And it's like hip hop is
black.
Hip hop is black culture, and so like it's gonna be certain remnants of like old shit that's always gonna exist in the culture, but ultimately what dictates the culture is who's taking up the most space.
Okay.
And so it's like as long as they continue to do that, I think that that's what becomes more important, because when there's this focus on like changing, right? When then you get away from just kind of producing, like doing what you do. It's a responsibility thing.
Okay.
And it's a responsibility thing that other people don't got to deal with, especially when you're just trying to make music. Like that's why you do it in the first place. You know what I mean? That's what drew people. That's what, brought people to you in the first place. Like your art. Let me make the art. And they're gonna keep coming.
Yeah.
I mean, like how many times, like the different names that popped up just from the different people here. All we got to do is have we just need to have more conversations about Black women in hip hop and the impact they have. And we need to have more conversations about Young M.A. We need to see her on, you know what I'm saying, feature
And
more
just thinking
on
of all the names that we seen in the comment section that I know Fang will speak for y'all, but that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Names that like Damo didn't know a couple of names too. So it's like shit. To me, having those conversations, to me, I feel like that come from taking up space.
Big fact.
because they did that. I mean, I'm gonna let you, you know what I'm saying, do your thing. But that's why we talking about it. That's why you got senators talking about, oh my God, we want people like Cardi B. Bitch, it's people like Cardi B here. Like, what the fuck you mean? Like, we don't want y'all around. Like, this ain't got nothing to do with y'all.
For some of the same reasons, like, artists like, even if you don't agree with everything he says, Ice Cube is very interesting because he can be like, fuck the police and be this gangster rapper or whatever, but he is a sense of consciousness there. Cardi is your worst nightmare because she gonna walk your ass to death and then tweet with Bernie Sanders and have real ass conversations about social injustice and shit like that, and really show you, surprisingly, off syntax and all in the tweet that she's very in tune with what's happening in these conversations right now. And so it ends up being like a very interesting version of, like I said, Joe Worst Nightmare. Takara says women's role in hip hop is to be seen and lusted for, but not heard. I think women being louder now, whether they're Young M.A. or Megan, is amazing. It's great to see for me. It's great to see for me. You love to see it. And I agree. Right? Jada, I think, supports this idea by saying music and art are reflective of the times we're living in, so that industry would naturally change, but we need to make sure there is access. And then Diamond, lastly, I'll shout out before I move to my next question, is I think you start with taking up space, then changing once you have a seat at the table. So now we back to talking about seats at the table, which these women are getting. And that leads me to my next question with WAP, and with Nicki, even with Kim, with Trina. We've seen, especially juxtaposing people like MC Lyte, people like T-Boz, people like Left Eye, people like Missy, people like Queen Latifah, which, don't get it twisted, Missy was a very sexual person. That's a misnomer about her. Her artistry was that she was like sexy people.
Getting freaky, man.
Bro, 1 minute, man.
We gone.
That's a hope.
No, 1 minute, man.
But when we look at the algorithm, when we look at the formula, is the WAP formula the formula for Black women hip hop artists to rise to the top, or is that too narrow of a look at what's happening? I say that because we look at the Rhapsodies, we look at the Young M.A.s, and they out there, but they seem like they eclipse at a certain point, and the over-sexualized and the highly sexualized images are the thing. So is that the formula for us to really give credibility and relevance to Black women hip hop artists, and is that good or bad? I think I just want us to talk about the formula. What do y'all think the formula is, and do you think that WAP is? And talk to me in the comments too.
I don't think I think the formula really more so is really it's difficult to say what the formula is when we talking about women. Because
like, man, capitalism in the big picture, man. Sex sells. Sex always sells. Sex always sells. Sex always sells.
But this is what I mean by that. But that's the thing though. In this instance, it's selling, but then there's this cultural impact. So it's a backlash to it. So it's not just about, because the idea ain't just about it selling, it's about, you know what I'm saying, like having like what we're talking about, the space, right? Having a legitimacy in the culture. And so when you got, sex selling, but then when the rabbit got the gun, when we talk about in terms of sex,
ain't no fun. Rabbit got the gun.
Yeah, when the rabbit got the gun, then that's when niggas that's when it flips, and sex ain't what. Oh no, you ain't supposed to be doing that. You ain't supposed to be saying that, and that's what we see with WAP. So WAP really,
but it's still like right now. It's still right now like the #1 record in like 50 states, 50 countries, 50 different countries.
You mean
right? But
50 different countries.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. Like that divide amongst the culture though when we gotta have that conversation. When it's okay, yeah, it's selling. We know it's gonna sell, hyper commodification, right? But at the same time, what is it like? What is it doing to our people? Like if we having a cultural civil war, if we got to talk about whether or not it's appropriate, like then ultimately it's not something that's coming across in a way that's being accepted or being validated
So
because you got people that's pushing back the way that they pushing back on it.
You saying this, so then let me ask you the stickier question, which I don't even know if y'all the right audience to ask it, but I'm gonna ask it. And Jada, Takara, y'all holler at me and chime in. Do you feel like in a world where sex sells and capitalism is what it is and women are propelled and are trying to get their foothold how they can, right? Do you feel like that hamstrings Black women because it forces that kind of monolithic and we only get to buy back into that hypersexualization? We only get to show this one version of Black women. And I say that again because, for example, Starships, you know what I'm saying, was an international hit here, so well, not so much. We see who Cardi made a comment and said when she was talking about be careful with me, people was criticizing her and was like, we don't want to hear about this shit with the ass shaking at. You know what I'm saying? We want to hear you tell your story. And so a lot of times people don't realize these women are being pushed back into a box. And so do you feel like we are hamstringing Black women representation in the craft by really only valorizing and validating the sexualization in the lyrics? Or do you feel like this type of liberation is most important?
I think that this type of liberation is very important, and I think that a lot of young girls need to hear about sexually liberated women at a very young age instead of having to always closet the way that they are, the way that we are sexualized beings. I think that me understanding from a gender perspective how respectability politics operate, I think that it creates disingenuous or crazy ass standards for Black women to have to perform their femininity and perform their womanism. And I think that it's usually kind of bullshit because in my mind, you feel me? Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. I know that's I'm 29. That song came out before I was born type shit or when I was a youngster. You feel me? Nobody never came to me about, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So in my mind, it just creates unfair standards. But I do see how from another criticism of talking about feminism and womanism, that there is a criticism of how that women are always forced in narratives to focus on their bodies. But I think that the reason why I say no, I feel like Lauryn Hill is one of the greatest, you know what I'm saying, in terms of record selling, you feel me? She's still able to show up an hour late to shows 10 years later, you feel me? Because the album was so good, you feel me? And I think that in that she did a lot of rapping, like the Mount of Zion, or not the Mount of Zion, but there's a few things, a few tracks in there where she's rapping, like really spitting.
Education.
You know what I'm saying? And she's not being sexual. As a matter of fact, she rapping against that, you feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? The one of she rapping the verses, you feel me? And it's just like I think that it's important to always remember that. And
See, I
hypersexual. She was a gangster.
The problem is I think we bypass the issue of respectability politics too much, because ultimately that's why we talking about how they got to do it, because it's what's acceptable, and
Agreed.
Really the focus got to be fuck acceptability. Like the focus got to be like, who gives a fuck how motherfuckers is gonna respond to shit? Like, who gives a fuck what the commercial look like? We gonna dictate what the commercial look like. You know what I'm saying? They gonna want commercials with us in it like a motherfucker. That's always how it works. Once the people get behind it, that's it. You feel me? Like, for example, like somebody like a nigga like Kendrick, the way that like somebody like Kendrick Lamar pop, it was just off people just fuck with him. The way Young M.A. got to where she was at was because you can't deny the skill. Same thing with Cardi B. Shit, same thing with Meg Thee Stallion. Same thing with Nicki Minaj. Once you can't deny the skill,
or Chica or No Name, it's like
or No Name. No Name. That's what I'm saying.
Skill.
First time I heard No Name, I played her shit back 3 times because you can't deny the skill. You feel me? And so that's why we respect Little Kim the way that we do, even Lauryn Hill the way that we do, because ultimately, like in a world where it was like, nah, this ain't acceptable, this ain't acceptable, this ain't acceptable. The Foxy Browns, right? Like, because as much as we say like sex being the strategy or sex being the box, they wasn't even supposed to be like that. Them being sexy was doing too fucking much. Like they were considered raunchy and that type of shit.
I will say, and this is I just I always want to temper it with a conversation about compulsiveness. And y'all look at For Harriet on Instagram, because I watched a really interesting video about and its relationship to feminism and how it is like this compulsory sexualization that now a lot of women have to be a part of the feminist movement, which only creates further divides. Because what if I don't orient myself towards my feminism, my femininity, my body in that way, right? Do I not get to be a part of the vision then? But another really interesting thing that she had started talking about, it left me just as quick as it came. She was talking about the fact that people like Foxy Brown was 17. No, was it Foxy? Or was it Trina?
Foxy Brown.
Who came out with Il Nana?
Foxy Brown.
Foxy Brown was 17 when she came out with that. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about these women being sexually liberated, and we also talking about a 17-year-old young lady. Now, there's also a lot of conversations about when and how old we should be given or creating space for people to have, that autonomy over their body, particularly Black women, right? And recognize, at what age. But when it's all said and done, 18 is the age that we all agreed on in other instances that you shouldn't be being sexualized. Then we also talk about with Lil' Kim. She talks about in a lot of different interviews and gives a lot of different examples of how she was taught how to pose and sit and open up and do this and do that. And she was positioned and staged by a bunch of men who, in exchange for a trajectory for her career, she was positioned to do certain things. So I think there's potentially an over narration that this is, and I'm not saying they lying when they say this is what I want, I hold my body, I control my body, I do what I want to with my body, but there's also a compulsory nature to it.
Yeah.
That can't necessarily be talked about because I can't tell you that.
That's the feminist critique that I know that I learned in school, or the womanist critique, especially the Black feminist critique, is that that feminist politics or women are always forced back into to resistance of the body or using a body or having to get attention with their body or whatever. I mean, even in the most liberating ways, sometimes we always forced back into that type of guess action, you feel me, or that type of representation, kind of how it replicates, you feel me, some of the narratives of the objectification of women, and women always been defined by their bodies. So that's why it's double-edged sword.
And that's why it's like when we talk about in terms of like even with both the questions, whether we're talking about like how women should orient like the space that they developing for themselves in terms of hip hop, and like the strategy to do that. Because it's so much of like, whether we talk about patriarchy, misogyny, whatever, that's associated with society that's embedded in the culture, everything becomes like these conversations of like understanding or trying to figure out like, how it fit. It loses the aspect of the art.
Yeah.
And that's why, and that's why it's like, people like Young M.A, they want to rap. She just want to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like she want to be able to get up there and do that. Because if not, she wouldn't put forth this effort to be in the position that she in. You know what I mean? And just her doing that is enough to create the impact where we having this conversation in the first place. To where our understanding of our like whether or not we want that to be the case, the newer generation is gonna know about a rapper like Young M.A. That's all. All it took was her existence. All it took was that presence to make the next. Because like when I studying politics, the one thing that dealing with Black people, you know what I'm saying, and then I'll let you do your thing. So the one thing dealing with Black people in terms of running for office is seeing another nigga in that spot. That's the thing that keeps most. That's why you got 77,000 Black people living in cities and counties and states where they literally you got one or less than one. You know what I'm saying? Person of color on the motherfucking city council. Because when people don't see themselves in those positions, you know what I mean? So it's like ultimately, and I know niggas like to talk bad about symbolism and all that other shit, but it's like when
Jordan,
we can legitimize a rapper that look like her, you know what I'm saying? Like that look like Young M.A, that sound like Young M.A, that has that energy. You feel me? And I guess legitimize might not be the right word, but it's when the term, like when we look at rappers and say that's what she is, because you can't deny, you know what I'm saying, skill what it is, then it's like that overcomes all the bullshit. Like that skill, the art, the talent, you know what I mean? Like the grind, the hustle, the albums, the songs, like that's what shaped the culture, like what you actually do.
Okay. It's interesting you say that, and I'm gonna use that as a segue to my last question, because as much as we want to give the Young M.As, the Shikas, the Rhapsodies, the Tierra Wax, the No Names, all the credit in the world for just being good at what they do. You know, the truth is the people who I named either are not sexual, so not necessarily. And by the way, no name even disputes the fact that she's not sexual. She's had tweets of like, I put myself out there all the time. I got all types of bars. Y'all just only talk about me when I'm convenient. So if you listen to my music, you would know I be talking about sucking dick and doing everything else in my songs. You just don't care.
Yeah.
But so it's just a convenient out for you. So don't like asexualize me. But when you look at people specifically like Sheikah and like Young M.A, you see either. I think Sheikah is bisexual for sure. Definitely clarified that on Twitter the other day. And Young M.A is definitely a masculine, you know, stud, right? There's a black stud in the game. And we look at these masculine women or the projections of masculinity, and I think that creates two problems for them. They never gonna be men to the men that are in the game, and say they don't get the credibility. She don't get the talking about the storytelling, whatever. It's just like, nigga, you probably didn't live that, or it ain't gritty enough, it ain't hard enough for me. You ain't never gonna be no nigga. And with women, it is you fall back into some of those same misogynistic tropes that, you know, are problems with men, or I'm not like that. I'm straight. And so it's creating kind of a glass ceiling, if you will, for them to be able to kind of push through. And so do you feel like there's space for the young MAs, for masculine women to really talk their shit? Or do you feel like it's never really going to be a place in hip hop to give legitimacy to them? How do you feel about masculine women and their presence in hip hop? Because there's been a space made for cisgender sexual women, right? Do you think Young M.A will ever be able to kind of push through and make a wave? Do you think it's
I think so
masculineness, or do you think it's her skill that's holding her back? Let's ask that question.
I definitely would say it's definitely her masculine, like the masculine nature of her that gets in the way. It's definitely a cognitive barrier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, that niggas got to work through. But I definitely think it's a lane though, because it's people that fuck with Young M.A. It's people that, you know what I mean, like that, you know, see themselves in her, that listen to rap music. It's all about being representative. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when Kanye came into the game wearing polos and talking about books and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Niggas is like, that ain't rap. Like, niggas, you know what I'm saying? That ain't. But now, like, Backpack became a whole, you know what I'm saying, became a whole thing. So it's like, Young M.A speaks for people, regardless. Like, no matter whether or not the larger culture is going to embrace her, you know what I mean? That's not even just a question of hip hop. You feel me? Whether or not like somebody like Young M.A can be embraced in hip hop ain't even a question of hip hop. That's a question of society as a whole.
I guess society need more time with studs. They might.
Yeah, I think heteronormativity is hella crazy. You feel me? When it comes to thinking, to me, I feel like about just like markets and like buy power. I feel like they're and I say buy power, like literally the power for people to, like, consumers to kind of determine the market. I think that there is a market for a masculine black woman in terms of being just straight stud, or being just, you know what I'm saying, a whole bunch of gender fluid, or a whole bunch of bisexual or something like that. I think there is a lane in space. You feel me? And for them to be there, but I do think that it's an uphill battle based off of how many markets will be already turned off based off of mere identity, regardless of how skillful they are. You know what I'm saying? So I do recognize it's an uphill battle, but I do think that there is a space though, because I feel like
the last thing I say is, hey, that nigga Billy Porter started showing up in dresses on the cover of every magazine.
Mm-hmm. So anything can happen. Hey, listen, if y'all go before this is over, if y'all are still listening, go back through, if y'all not hip to some of these artists that names people been dropping, and go catch some of them, write them down. Tokyo, Tierra Whack, Rico Nasty, Doja Cat. You know, I ain't gonna politic you. You know, you listen to it if you want to. Mulatto, I ain't gonna politic you. You listen to it if you want to. But it's black women out here making music, taking over whole lanes, and it's undeniable at this point. So I definitely wanted to hat tip that. It's just a surface conversation about the way that black women have been dominating hip hop. And with that, let's round out with the last chop.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and round out with the political chop tonight. I know how we do. Tonight's political chop is going to pay homage to, you know what I'm saying, the late Chadwick Boseman lost his life to cancer this week or last week, over the weekend.
Yeah.
Friday.
Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night. And I mean, it's been tough because it's like it was out of nowhere, like it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like him, you know what happened with him. That wasn't everybody. He didn't want it to be everybody's business, so it wasn't everybody's business. That's how it's supposed to be. You feel me? So, you know, he passed, but the number one thing that people are speaking on in terms of his legacy as an actor is his role in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick, since you know, we already passed the hour mark. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. What are some of the key things that y'all identify as the, you know, a part of the legacy that Chadwick left playing Black Panther in terms of the relationship with Black people here in the States and their perception of Africa?
Lee?
I think it was beautiful. I think that it kind of sparked a cool little Pan-African type of vibe that everybody was going to. People was rocking their dashikis, people was going and finding dashikis just to go to the movie theaters. It was a lot of people kind of embracing different parts of African culture, you know what I'm saying, due to the cultural impact of Wakanda. I mean, Wakanda and Black Panther and things like that. So I felt like it was dope.
But I mean, but what are some of the things that, like, oh no, you pointed out, you talking about like the dashikis and just like the shit that people embracing, yeah.
Like people really going out there.
It's just, I can't think of another moment in my lifetime in 31 years of living where so many people were so collectively excited to be Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't figure a time. I can't put my finger on it was engendered. And it also, we were allowed to have this moment. I think it was because it was part of Marvel, right? So it's kind of the sanctity of it was like, don't touch it, don't fuck with it. It's gonna be good regardless. But I really felt like, you know, we didn't get any bad story. I think he just lived a good life, but we didn't get any exposés about Chadwick Boseman's real life. We didn't get a whole bunch of backstory drama. It was just a lot of celebration of Ryan Coogler. It was a lot of celebration for the project and what was happening. It was a lot of celebration for these Black people from the diaspora about to get on screen and really represent. And, you know, then we had the flood of think pieces after it. And as much as I hate the think piece impulse of our generation, the fact that it had us thinking so hard and so heavy about our Blackness was something beautiful to be a part of and beautiful to watch.
And too, I feel like, to be fair, I think that was one of the better moments of think pieces, in my opinion, kind of.
Because it was legitimacy on both sides. I think it was respectful balance that was there to where, you know, if a nigga was like, you know, I ride with Killmonger, you know, you can see why, right? Because I think what I thought was dope was, you know, being debate, you know, and studying race the way that we do, like ontology is a big thing to us, like or not even as much ontology, but epistemology, like how we know what we know. You know what I'm saying? The relationship that we have with how we understand things. And the way that Black Panther was able to shift the perspective of Africa just like that, like, and not even necessarily that there was this negative thing that was going on, because, you know, it's American society, it's always, you know, how it is. But the way that just that image, right, even just when the trailer dropped, there was this immediate rush to, like, yeah, we fuck with it, no questions asked. You know what I'm saying? No, rarely do our niggas in unison.
It broke a record, man. Like, it broke a record across the world, like global record.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, after the movie came out, I was really hoping, as much as I love seeing a nigga and being like, I was really hoping this was gonna take off. Like, I really,
man, I did too.
It did for a little bit. It did for a little bit.
I mean,
and I'll say things about the salute and how kind of amazing it was. First of all, Ryan Coogler broke it down, what it's supposed to represent. First of all, you know, this is how you lay when you die. You know what I'm saying? So this is that connection between life and death that's being represented, and kind of connection that Black Panther has and kind of navigates as part of his backstory. But also, this is very regal. It's very symbolic of the kings and queens, and kind of how you would find pharaohs when you mummies and stuff like that. Their hands would be across their chest. So they wanted to represent that and kind of project some of that in African culture. The second thing that was a misnomer about Chadwick Boseman is that he hated this, right? Because a lot of pictures start coming off where he'd be like, or there would be a picture of him looking annoyed or frustrated with it, or everything he was that he had to do it. But he did an interview and he said that's actually not true. He just hate when people made him feel like he was tap dancing, doing like do the thing, oh do the thing. But he was like, it's a salute. It's meant to be shared amongst and across Black people who are trying to give this. So he was like, every time somebody would walk up on me and give me that nice, I throw it up every time. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem with that because it's supposed to be not this sticky, gimmicky thing.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a
It's
way
a connection.
you know,
It's like if a nigga walk around, throw up the fist. You
period.
throw up the fist. It's new
like,
age shit.
do the thing, throw your fist up. It'll be like,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. If somebody was telling you to do it, yeah, then that's clown shit.
and Black people of all, like, why would you make me do this? Come on, now I got enough of white people sitting up here thinking I'm supposed to song and dance for them. I don't need that from you either. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and what I think a large part of what's missed in this is that when Malcolm was saying you can't hate the roots of the tree and not hate the tree. You know what I mean? You can't have a negative perception of Africa and not, you know what I'm saying, have a negative perception of yourself. Even if niggas wasn't saying, I wasn't sitting talking bad about Africa, ultimately, if you're socialized in, United States education system, if you socialize in America, you have a negative perception of Africa. Because all they do is they inundate you with images of poverty and, famine and death and wasteland and, destruction.
Underdeveloped and no resources and
right. So it's like ultimately
different states and
So essentially, this
Right.
nigga Chris X.
I don't have it.
This nigga,
Shoe
this
fly.
nigga Chris X. Shout out to Chris X. The Aborigine.
Ain't no
shout out to Chris X, man.
No, Toya said ain't no shout out. Toya said ain't no shout
You've been acknowledged. This is what you wanted. Good evening. Back to the conversation.
Yeah. So when we talk about this, when we talk about living in a country where a part of what that country teaches is that these brown countries are pieces of shit, for a movie to display Africa in the way that Wakanda was displayed, to kind of show like the possibility of Africa if y'all didn't touch the shit, because like that was a large premise of the whole shit. They got like the Malcolm and Martin shit with Killmonger and T'Challa, like that was like the low hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. The real shit was, nigga, this is our potential. This is where we would be. You feel me? If niggas didn't show up with what they showed up with, this is what we saying we could be. This that Afrofuturism, like that possibility that's still really out there. But because of colonialism, because of white supremacy, because of the role that shit plays in governments and developing countries and all of that shit, that's what's limiting it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for niggas to see that imagery and not have no pushback and be like, yes, like that's what our potential is. Like it's mental shit. You know what I mean? That just like a little white boy seeing every president being white.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Something becomes real. Something becomes possible. What you say, Toya?
I was just saying that's exactly what Jaleesa said. It showed us what could have been possible. Can't work towards the future if you don't know what's possible. So we do need elements like Afrofuturism to provide that type of surrealism that we don't have, because we've been told that we are people without a future. We're people without a past. We don't have these connections. And so the movie very interestingly kind of gives us those. It grants us those connections. You know what I'm saying? Killmonger those connections. No questions asked. You are a part of this, and this is what can be, could have been, and what you should try to return to is a world not altered or influenced by whiteness, white supremacy, by white people, by colonization.
And so the last part of this, and we could close out, is I want to revisit this conversation between like about Killmonger and Killmonger and T'Challa and they politics and how they politics class specifically.
Hey, did you put that clip up?
I know I got it. Yeah, I got it ready. I'm gonna play that last. Yeah, I'm gonna play that last. But matter of fact, I might as well play it right now. Yeah. So I mean, and because the reason why I bring it up is because I felt like there was a knee-jerk reaction to this anti-African sentiment associated with like why Africans didn't come back, you know what I'm saying? Or, Africans sold us. I mean, like what you see from Chris X in the chat, it's niggas out there that on a spectrum kind of embrace that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I felt like that embracing of Killmonger came from, was that little bit of anti-African sentiment that niggas have due to this, like the questions of like, yo, like what's up? What y'all, you know know what I'm saying? Did y'all leave us? Did y'all send us? How did we get fucking over here? You know what I mean? And there was this like Killmonger represented us in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that was. We like as much as we like, yeah, we fuck with T'Challa, like the resentful niggas felt like, nah, like we Killmonger. We not T'Challa. Which, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna play the clip and then we're gonna get into it. Oh, no, I'm sure. All right, hold on. I fucked up. Let me stop sharing. I gotta make sure I got the sound sharing with it. Y'all bear with me just a moment.
Just a moment, because I think that
I got it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So in real life, who would you have agreed with more, T'Challa or Killmonger?
Well, as an African American, I connect with Killmonger.
That's how I felt too.
Yeah,
I didn't like the way he treated people, but
yeah. As an African American, I have both sides. I have a huge family. You know, I have a lot of the traits of T'Challa, but Killmonger, as African Americans, we've been severed from our past. We've been severed from the continent in a way where we're reaching for a connection to it. He has the markations on his body, but he doesn't have like a real ritual connection to those. He made it into something else, and so I think we're all searching for things because we're looking for those rites of passages that have been left behind. At the same time, you know, I feel like T'Challa has a tradition, and he has a connection to his ancestors that I long for. I long for that, and I feel like Killmonger long. They're two sides of the same coin.
yeah,
But as an African American, you're always gonna feel like, until you make that connection, that there's a disconnect there. What I did is I took a DNA test.
me too.
Yeah. So where you from?
I'm 97% East African, West African.
No, see, that's the wrong test.
Which one you took? Like you got the
You took Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
I took African Ancestry.
What's the difference?
So African Ancestry can tell you the specific ethnic group that you come from. So not only, you know, if you just know, you know, the country, that's still the European borders to a certain degree.
Gotcha.
You know, but if you know that you're Yoruba from Nigeria, then you can now you can pinpoint specific customs and rituals that are part of your past. If I know that I'm Jola from Guinea-Bissau, I'm naming all the stuff that I found in mine. That I'm Limba from Sierra Leone.
So, first off, I mean that was I'm mad that was actually my first time seeing that interview. And you know, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Some wisdom was in there.
But how do y'all feel about what he was saying in terms of, you know, it not really being like that clash, like people make it out to be? You know what I'm saying? The difference between literally T'Challa and Killmonger is that connection. They both won it, just one was blessed with it and the other one wasn't. You know what I mean? So when we revisit that conversation between about Killmonger and T'Challa, do y'all think that like we were too antagonistic in how we pitted them against each other to kind of embrace Killmonger?
I do. And I think I agree with Chadwick when he says it's two sides of the same coin, because you have American Black people saying, I want to come back. I don't know how to get back. Why did you leave me? Why would you come back and get me? And then you have people on the continent. You have Black folks on the continent saying, why aren't you trying to get back? Why have you lost your connection? Why are you not working hard enough to reassociate and reentrench yourself to what now seems like a choice for you to leave behind? And so there is a tension there that does not look at who created the wedge in the first place. We doing everything and being mad at each other without recognizing who created the separation. So that coin very muchly depends on how you flip it and who is doing the flipping.
I think that to me, the Killmonger versus T'Challa, this showed the ugly nature of intracommunal violence that's like within the global black people just all across the globe. Like we could talk about colorism in the black community in American context, but I think that those type of divides and a type of ideology in terms of how we create lines in the sand, I think that gets transported in an international realm in terms of how we make the divides between continental Africans and non-continental Africans. And for me, I think that I actually watched the film again last night, and me watching it again last night, I feel like made me kind of think about it differently. But I think that it was just two parts in it that really like registered with me and really almost like made me cry again even watching it. You feel me? And it's literally when Chadwick talks about that severance, when Killmonger becomes the king and he don't get to go back to the ancestors, he goes back to that apartment in Oakland. That to me, it even right now, it touches my soul. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
and
yeah, I cried with that nigga in the movie.
So much when even so much when his daddy was like, "You got no tears for me," and then and then Killmonger's response was the most black thing, like literally what we saying, paid in full. Paid in full. I say
niggas die every day. B.
He literally was just like, "Oh, like you seen how." Internalized us African Americans has kind of internalized the dehumanization or kind of the desensitization of our own lives in terms of, hey, we live in an anti-black world where black people are always already seen as exposable and disposable. Mm-hmm. Therefore, nigga, you got exposed and disposed. It happens to us. It is what it is. You feel me? And to me, that just really just, man, the scene is so deep to me. And that's to me, I think that's the part that made the nasty, antagonistic, ugly shit come out because it was so like deep. And then to me, that second, how the movie ended. So he literally saying like, "You want me to do this?" To me, I think that us black people in America, I feel like we understand that we on some fugitive, captive shit always already. People always make us to be out deviant. When Killmonger says and T'Challa don't correct him, why would I want to stay alive? So he can hold me captive? Bury me where my ancestors at because they knew captivity was, you know what I'm saying? Shit, they know death was better than captivity. Yeah. That line itself, to me, I think that those two scenes registered with a lot of the trauma and a lot of the resentment that a lot of us African Americans have that I think that can't be resolved. Because to me, it's like, not to go back, but it's like the conversation about colorism, it can't just be put on to the slave master. Now we done took it and did so much with it that we got to take up some shit that we got between ourselves. Don't get me wrong. The colonizer colonized them and brought us over there. So we see that point like, shut up, colonizer. However, it doesn't negate the shit that we got to deal with, the baggage that we got between each other and in the shit we got between each other. And I think that it came out in that film. And I think that I'm talking about, I almost want to cry right now, but I'm holding it together. That scene fucked me up, man. Like literally, and too, because I registered with the person that plays his dad from my melodramatic, you know what I'm saying? This Is Us. So once I realized that was him,
dramatic ass.
I registered with it.
Yeah, George already had like his tear ducts is already connected.
Oh yeah, definitely.
When they started crying, he was there.
Like, and too, this the part right here that I'll shut up about it. Me and my wife kind of going back and forth at the beginning of the film about, so did his father, and this us kind of rebugging our memory, but we was like, so did his father betray Wakanda? You know what I'm saying? And to me, I think that was the conversation that I think that we should have been having. You feel me? About, you know what I'm saying? The kind of, but
his daddy definitely betrayed Wakanda.
Feel me?
Yeah.
But then after that, is it a justifiable betrayal or is it a, you know what I'm saying? Is it an unethical betrayal? And I think that the way the movie ends, how T'Challa makes it ends, and him doing what he was what his uncle Sean doing in the first place a little bit anyway. I think that it kind of creates the more juicier critical dialogue that can be created to me. But that's just me.
Toy.
I mean, I don't remember the original question at this.
I'm sorry.
It was just, we went and we recapped parts of the story that I think really kind of broke things down. When it's all said and done, I think I feel like I even answered the question first, which is why I don't have anything to add. It's just the idea that I think Black people see themselves in a lot of the cracks and crevices of this film. And I think, I fought to understand and see both sides. And in the battle of Malcolm and Martin, whether it be in real life or in film, it's a place of tension for me. But I think that's the beautiful part of Black people on their course of liberation, is that freedom, when you just want freedom, it's going to look different to everybody, because everybody just wants to taste a remnant of it, right? Yeah. So what's far enough and what's enough for you and what it looks like and how it's situated for you is going to be different to different people. It's that subjective.
So the last thing I'm gonna point out, I mean, and we can go ahead and close it out, is the one thing that I didn't think about until he pointed it out in the interview is when he was talking about the marks on his body. They were ritualistic, but they weren't connected to any real ritual. Like literally he would just kill somebody and he would mark himself, right? And it was mimicking what he knew about his culture, but because he didn't have that connection, it was literally just like it was a misguided attempt, because he said, I killed my own brothers on this continent. Mm-hmm. So them scars reflected, you know what I'm saying, like him literally taking the life of the people that he fucked with, like the people that he yearned to be connected to, because of his, you know, that disconnect and him being related and a part of the colonizer.
Jada,
one of the reasons when what you say?
No, I was about to say Jada points out an African proverb.
Jalisa.
My bad, I said Jada, but Jalisa. And shout out to Jalisa. You slid in here. What's up? What's good? She talks about the proverb that says a child will burn a village to feel its warmth. You know what I'm saying? So when you see the wrath of somebody who hurts, you know what we say, hurt people. And that's a whole lot of what we saw coming out of Killmonger.
That's real. Hey, thank y'all for joining us. Again, make sure y'all following us on Spotify, The Chop Up Show, on YouTube at The Chop Up Show, on Facebook at The Chop Up Show, on Instagram at The Chop Up Show.
Just Google The Chop Up Show.
It's that easy. It's that easy.
Hey, you know what? Right now I'm feeling kind of philosophical, man. I just want to say this last thing. I'll make it short too. I always made distinctions between niggas that kind of wanted power, and it was like it's a difference between niggas that want the position of the king and niggas want the head of the king. And I think that Killmonger's kind of position represented how sometimes, even though we should kind of want the head of the king, not the crown of the king, how sometimes that desire for the head of the king can become so parasitic and it can eat you alive and make it where you kind of become what you resent.
And that's that's actually a good example of what happened with Killmonger, and what happened to a lot of Black people, specifically when we talking about policing our own people, how we view Black people, right? I think, and I'll say this, and then we'll close it out. So, you know what I'm saying? Speaking of what George is saying, a lot of like Black conservatives do what they do out of a desire to want better for Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the same thing, but they just have a fucked up perception because of what they've been taught about Blackness. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it's been real. Thank y'all for joining us. We'll have this broken up clips coming out all week. Y'all make sure tune in tomorrow, the Over 30 podcast with me and my host Tisha Marie. But make sure y'all follow me at The Political Plug on Instagram, Facebook, at Toya G, Instagram, everywhere else at The Consciously. Well, he's already famous. Y'all already know who he is. But anyway, this has been The Chop Up.
The chisel chop.
Y'all be easy.
It don't stizzle stop.